Lately, the whole internet has been talking about this. Now, sit down for a second because this one is gonna hurt a few people. Explain to me how Jujutsu Kaisen, a show with a budget of $150,000 per episode, looks better than Invincible, which is sitting on a fat, comfortable, absolutely disgusting $2.5 million per episode. That is over 10 times the budget. 10 times. And JJK still walked in, fixed its collar, looked Invincible dead in the eye, and said, "Yep, I got this." How? How is this possible? Let's get into it. So first things first, where exactly is all that Invincible money going? Because brother, it is not going to the animation. That much is clear. You want to know where it's going? Hollywood. That's where. Steven Yeun, J.K. Simmons, Mark Hamill, Walton Goggins, and listen, I love these people. Truly iconic. But Amazon literally delayed filming just to get Bruce Campbell for a 180-second cameo. 180 seconds. I want you to count that out loud right now. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they held up production for 3 minutes of Bruce Campbell. And you know what? I respect the commitment. But also, what are we doing here? Then you've got Aaron Paul, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and the absolute legend Jason, who voices Omni-Man, and you know his pay rate is not a joke. So okay, when you add all of that up, it becomes very clear very fast that a massive chunk of that $2.5 million budget is walking straight into the pockets of Hollywood A-listers. And look, I'm not even mad at the casting, the voice acting is phenomenal, but you cannot sit there and act confused about why the animation looks like it was rendered on a microwave when half the budget is paying for celebrity cameos. JJK on the other hand, professional Japanese voice actors, cheaper, more efficient, done. The money goes somewhere else, and where it goes, that's the whole story. Now let's talk about MAPPA and what they're actually doing with that $150,000, because this is where it gets both impressive and deeply, deeply concerning. So MAPPA, the studio behind Jujutsu Kaisen, they are making cinematic animation, like legitimately movie-level stuff. Dynamic camera movement, complex lighting, heavy compositing with glow effects, particles, motion blur, volumetric lighting, cursed energy visuals that make your eyes go absolutely feral. Every fight in JJK Season 3 is essentially a mini film sequence. The camera moves with the action, perspectives shift constantly, you pause a JJK fight frame, and it still looks like actual artwork. Like you could print it and hang it on a wall. Invincible? You pause a fight frame and you get functional, clean, readable, but flat. Static camera angles, basic lighting, minimal compositing. The backgrounds are simple and the color palettes don't exactly scream, "I am a visual masterpiece." And you know what? That's a choice. An intentional design choice, but it means Invincible fights feel like story beats while JJK fights feel like full-blown events. But here's the part that's wild, right? How is MAPPA pulling this off on $150,000? You know how? By allegedly running their animators into the actual ground? I'm talking MAPPA employees have stated on record that they often sleep under their desks. Some of them have not gone home for months. Since 2020, these people have not seen their front doors in years, fam. Now look, thankfully, it has been said that MAPPA has improved their treatment of employees more recently, and I genuinely hope that's true. But the point stands. The secret sauce of JJK's animation quality has partially been the brutal exploitation of incredibly talented people who are also paid significantly less than their Western counterparts. That's the uncomfortable truth behind those beautiful fluid fight sequences. Make of that what you will. Now here's another thing people don't talk about enough time. JJK releases bi-yearly, Invincible drops yearly, and I know, one extra year, big deal, but in animation, that extra year is everything. It gives animators time to actually fine-tune, polish, and not have a breakdown in the break room. Invincible, meanwhile, is out here making 6.5 hours of animation every year. For reference, Rick and Morty, also a yearly release, does 3 1/3 hours annually. Invincible is doing nearly double that, and each episode of Invincible runs for 50 minutes while JJK is under 30. So they're producing more content, faster, with those same animators. Yeah, that math ain't mathing in anyone's favor. And honestly, a lot of this comes down to one man, Robert Kirkman. Now I say this with respect because Invincible as a story is genuinely incredible, but there are people who argue, pretty convincingly, that Kirkman fundamentally does not treat animation as its own art form. He's been on record talking about making a season every year like it's a straightforward TV production, comparing it to how TV was done for 60 years. He's talked about animation limitations like someone who's coming from the live action world because, well, he kind of is. And the thing is, the industry standard for animated episodes is about 22 minutes, not 40. like live action. His 8-episode seasons are actually closer to 20 episodes worth of runtime. That's an enormous amount of content for an animation team that, according to IMDb data, has roughly half the headcount of shows like The Legend of Korra, Smiling Friends, and Has-Been Hotel, shows with comparable or lesser runtimes. You know what those shows have that Invincible doesn't? Backgrounds with actual depth, composited shading, fluid movement. Coincidence? I think not. Let's zoom in on lighting and compositing for a second, because this right here is where JJK quietly, smoothly, without even raising its voice, destroys the competition. JJK Season 3 is using volumetric lighting, layered compositing, particle systems for dust and debris, and that gorgeous cursed energy glow. The scenes feel three-dimensional. They feel alive. Even when characters are just standing still having a tense conversation, the lighting does half the dramatic work for you. Invincible? Flat lighting, minimal effect layering, and here's the thing. People on the internet have literally demonstrated what Invincible could look like with just basic shading and compositing improvements. Not insane animation overhauls. Not rebuilding entire scenes, just lightning. One creator added proper shading and lighting to a few Invincible scenes, and people were saying it looked like a completely different series. There was even that scene with Nolan and Conquest facing off, a genuinely serious, tense moment, and the main critique was how flat and stiff it felt, despite how significant it was narratively. Compare that to a scene where Conquest gets behind someone, barely any movement between characters, but the shading and lighting make it feel intense. That's the power of compositing. And Invincible, with all that money, is just choosing not to do it. There's also the heartbreaking comic comparison. Mark standing still in the comics, suit ripped, beard overgrown, sun beaming on him, just aura farming. In the show, stripped of all that atmosphere, it's just a guy standing there. A fan-made recreation of that same moment, not even overly detailed, just with proper lighting that matches the show's art style, went from zero aura to absolutely dripping. And the only animation needed? A little flow in Mark's hair. That's it. One small thing. And they're not doing it. So, to bring it all together, because yes, I have a point and I'm arriving at it now, JJK outsmarted Invincible not by having more money, but by making completely different priorities. MAPPA invests everything into animation polish, cinematic direction, and visual escalation. Season 1 was clean anime style, Season 2 got experimental and fluid, Season 3, hybrid cinematic artistry, it keeps evolving. Meanwhile, Invincible stays visually consistent, which is intentional, but it also means it never really escalates visually. It doesn't get more ambitious, it stays stable. It invested in a legendary voice cast, Hollywood production standards, and a release pace that doesn't really suit animation as a medium. Both are incredible shows with massive fan bases. Both have made enormous cultural impacts, but in the specific arena of animation quality, JJK walked in with 1/10 the budget, a roster of underpaid and overworked animators who deserve every award on the planet, and a studio philosophy that treats every episode like a piece of visual art, and it won. $150,000 versus $2.5 million. And the $150,000 show looks better. Anime fans stay winning, painfully, uncomfortably, at the cost of many people's work-life balance, but winning. And that's the video, guys. JJK came in with a fraction of the budget, a studio that apparently doesn't believe in their animators going home, and still walked away looking like $1 million. Literally. So, would you rather have legendary Hollywood voice actors or buttery smooth animation? Because apparently in 2025, you can't have both.